Welcome to Strange and Mysterious World, Season 4, Episode 17. Tonight's episode, we're going to be having someone all the way from New York. She is an author. Her name is Becky Ferreira. She's a regular contributor to the journalist-founded site 404 Media, where she writes a weekly science newsletter called The Abstract. She also writes her own newsletter called BX Files, which also deals with science and culture. She has appeared as an expert guest on the Science Channel and hosted the Motherboard video series called Space Show. So the reason why she's on tonight on our show is because she's just brought out a book. I think it came out on the 30th of September, so a few weeks ago. And it's called First Contact, the Story of Our Obsession with Aliens. That's going to be very interesting.
Great.
Yeah.
Can't wait to hear about it, man.
Yeah, cool, man. It's lucky to bring back some alien stories again, in the Strange and Mysterious World.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Let's see. Maybe she's been abducted or something. Let's go and see.
Okay.
Anyway, let's bring
Hello.
Hey,
Becky,
how are you?
are you?
Hey, Becky.
I'm good. How are you?
Fantastic.
Good. How
Thanks,
are you
man.
doing?
Am I coming through okay? I'm
Yeah, you
sorry.
are.
It's a new computer, so I'm kind of disoriented.
No,
That's
it's
cool.
coming through good, and the sound sounds good.
Yeah.
Oh,
Love the pictures in the
fantastic.
background, your paleontology background there.
Yes, exactly. I'm feeling left
Cool.
out. I need a little bit more eerie kind of lighting and stuff like that, like you guys have.
Yeah. Hey, where's your alien posters? Come on, you got the
I
dinosaurs.
know. Well, I've
you
got
the
this at least. I know. Well, dinosaurs. They're in the book too. They're like aliens on Earth. So
Okay, true. Okay, cool. Yeah. Well, they say there's also the reptilians, so maybe that's
there you
where they
go.
come from.
Exactly. So I do have some space related stuff over there that I should probably get over here for interviews. But yeah.
Yeah.
So Becky,
Totally.
sorry, we are, we were going through a little bit about your stuff that you do, your journalism, and that's how do you go from your normal? I'm assuming your journalism is your normal job. Is that something that you do?
Yep.
Okay. So how do
Yep.
you go from there to writing about aliens? That's because I know aliens have kind of got a bit of a science thing to it, but how do you go from there to there?
But also because you came from such prestigious things like New York Times, Vice magazine, and then all of a sudden you're like aliens.
Oh yeah, no, totally. Well, I actually have been from the start as a science reporter interested in the search for extraterrestrial life. And so I started around 2010, 2011. And it was already such an interesting time then for all of these missions that were going to be, Kepler had been, the telescope had been launched. And so it was a time where everyone was kind of saying in a decade, we're going to have thousands of new worlds and that have been discovered in other star systems. And we're going to have the ability to start characterizing atmospheres and things like that. So I always took it as like I didn't see it as fringe at all. You guys will be much better versed in the world of, UAP and all of that. I did as much research as I could into that, but that's like not the main thing that I normally was doing as a beat reporter on extraterrestrial life. I was mostly covering things like the Perseverance rover, kind of strategies for how to recognize biosignatures in these exoplanet atmospheres and things like that. So yeah, I always took it really seriously, and it just like my reporting for the Times and everything, I think what's really fun about it is that there's so many different ways that you can come into this, and everybody has an interest in aliens, and everybody has, their own theories and things like that. So I just come at it from like the peer reviewed angle.
Yeah.
And then, but I love hearing, just in the past month since this book was published, I've heard so much interesting stuff. So it's really awesome to have such a universally interesting subject.
I think everyone's actually secretly interested in UFOs, but they'll never admit it if they totally scientific driven, and even the ones, those skeptics that are like so angry when people come up with some like cool data or like something, I reckon they really want to believe.
I agree. And I mean, I find so many of the, especially the sort of Navy pilot footage from 2004, those kinds of ones that are I just want to know what that is, right? Like it's incontrovertible. I think for so much of, the research that I did for this book into just sort of the cultural side of the UAP stuff, you kind of have to be an ethnographic researcher to go out into the field and talk to people and look at all this kind of the sightings and the footage and things like that. So I don't have that background at all, but it's so interesting to me to just see something that's just cut and dried, something like these Navy pilot videos where it's like, well, it moves at an incomprehensibly fast speed. These are trained pilots. It's obviously something they would recognize as unusual, right? And so those are really, really compelling to me. And I just wish we had answers on that. I agree. There's a universal interest in that, I think,
Yeah. What annoys the hell out of me, though, is every time we seem to get somewhere, it's like, I mean, you had all these what was that stuff they were having in America where they're having all these hearings about the UAPs, and just high generals coming in from the Navy and from the Army, and they were talking about what they knew, obviously behind closed doors. So there is something. We know that there is something because they've all said that there's something. But every time we get to that point where it's like you just got to, and we'll all know about it. All of a sudden, something else happens. Then it's like the war in Ukraine, the war with Israel. There always something happens to put that out of the spotlight. It's like changing it for some reason. I don't know, and it annoys the hell out of me, man. Because I mean, I've believed in UFOs. Actually, since I believe in UFOs, but I believe that alien existence since I can remember having a memory. I mean, it's not even a thought of maybe not. I know it is. Why we haven't found it, I've got my own reasons for why we haven't found it yet. But it's so annoying. And then there's always the people that come through. If you're looking at the YouTube things, it's like every week, next month, definitely there's going to be first contact, and it's going to be, we definitely all going to know. And this is going back now, 15 years already.
Lee, what's your theory on why there is that perpetual like anticlimax with these kinds of hearings and things?
So we're looking in the wrong place. We're looking at a three-dimensional view of things, but they're not in 3D. They're in the 4D, 5D, 6D. They're in different dimensions. So we can't form those dimensions. That's why they're able to slip through time. They're able to slip through. I mean, sometimes they might appear in your room. I mean, I've heard stories. My mom, she's told me plenty of stories where they would just appear and then they would disappear. So that they're not entirely in our three-dimensional existence. They can come and then they can go. So that's why we haven't found them, because we're actually looking in the wrong space.
Yeah, well, I think that's like such an interesting idea. And also, I think a lot of people think even if they were made, in our own dimension, in our own like kind of reality, the idea that you'd be able to anticipate what an alien kind of technology or biosignature would be like, it's just really, how can you know what you don't know, right? Yeah, so exactly. That's
so what is your take on it, Becky? What did you say in your book about it?
So I feel convinced that what these sightings are from my own perspective, alien or extraterrestrial. I think they're very weird, but I think the bar for me is really high. That having been said, like I've said, like a lot of people have reached out to me, and I believe that I believe in their perspective, right? Like, I don't think for me that I've never had an experience like these people have. I've never had the experience like you mentioned of your mother having like actual visual contact with something like that, or an intuition that something interdimensional is happening. I just haven't. So, and I think that in order to like investigate those types of things, you just need a different type of brain than I have. Like, you need to be going out and talking to people and going into the places where these sightings happen and really being able to evaluate it on an on-location basis. And like I said at the beginning, my perspective comes from really the scientific search for life, where there's this incredibly high bar. And I know that's really disappointing to people, but it's just like, I can't extrapolate from my personal experience that there's these things have an alien origin, especially when you look through the history of UAP and UFOs, and you see so much of the time that this adversarial relationship that kind of develops between the government and people who have sightings is because the government will lie about it being an experimental spycraft or something like that, right? This is something we get very much in the 50s, where people do see weird things, and then the government's like, no, you're crazy, because they just don't want to admit that it was one of their own spycraft, right? So I kind of go with that Occam's razor on things. But, there's just so many interesting experiences that people have, and I don't deny that they have had those experiences, but I can't say that that's an alien. And I think, that's something that's just going to have to continually be evaluated by new sightings and the community that you guys are in. You guys will be much more, knowledgeable about that whole world than I am on it, because I'm kind of coming from it from the sort of astrobiological, looking for signs of life on other planets kind of angle.
But let's talk about your book. So what was the inspiration for your book? And tell us about your books.
Well, yeah. So it was funny because when I've been covering the search for 15 years, the search for alien life, and but there's so much interest in it. There's all these books coming out all the time. So when my publisher was like, "Would you be interested in doing one?" I was like, "Well, there's so much in the market." But then I kind of realized that that's because there's an inexhaustible interest, right? Like you really can't have enough books on aliens. So when I was approaching it, I thought, I've read all these books by my peers that are fantastic, that kind of do one angle or another, right? And I just wanted to do it's a short book. It's about 50,000 words. I wanted to do something that encapsulate all of the kind of diverse meanings that aliens have for people. Most of it is about the scientific search for life, because that's what my background is. But I also have a chapter about some of the most interesting, what I consider most interesting ufological experiences and cultural, subcultures, and the interesting religions that have been sprouted from people having accounts of alien abduction and things like that. And just that this is such a, that's such a rich vein of how people think about aliens. But I also had, a chapter that's about all the ways that they kind of surface in pop culture. I'm a big science fiction fan, so I love to write about fictional aliens and kind of how they are continuing on the sort of narrative themes that we've already established from myths and divinities, right? It's common in many myths for gods to come down and abduct people and do experiments in the world and stuff like that, or to wear the skin of humans to come down and be with us. So it's a very old idea that has been co-opted into alien lore. And so that was sort of the idea, was just to touch on the fact that this is such a universal interest. And I think it's actually a really important time right now to have grace for everybody who, for people who will say, I have met aliens, I have experienced them, to people who are like, that it is completely unlikely that we will ever have any kind of contact with an intelligent civilization. Intelligent civilizations are probably almost impossible outside of Earth. The whole gamut of perspectives, right? So I just wanted to really bring it all together, because I think we're now entering a phase in the scientific search for life where there's going to be a lot of new information that's confusing and weird and ambiguous. Does this weird, compound in the skies of some exoplanet, does that mean that there's likely life there? All that kind of stuff, where it's just very tantalizing, and it's not the kind of slam dunk first contact moment that I think people might expect. So I really thought it was a good time to just touch on everything and acknowledge the incredible diversity of perspectives that we have on this topic as humans.
Yeah, because Diana Porcelco as well was saying that it's like the new religion of the Earth is this UFO phenomenon. So what? Because you wrote about that in your book. So what is your take on it? Like, is it just because we're searching for something inside us, like our existential crisis that we're having, that we just want something, and like now it's the only thing we can grasp, because it's all religions come from the supernatural thing. Now it's the only supernatural thing that we actually have actual sightings and stuff of. And now what is your take on it? Yeah,
no, I think you have it bang on, that it's an expression of our curiosity that is, I believe is tens of thousands of years old. I think, the fact that you see that every culture in the world has stories about the stars, they personify the stars to some extent and believe that something is there, right? Long before the idea of other planets or aliens in the modern form existed, people had this intuition. And I think that's in itself so fascinating, because we're far from the only intelligent species on this planet. There's lots of other forms of intelligence, but none of them are as obsessed with this idea that we're not alone in the universe, right? That's just not something that an orca is thinking. I don't think, right? Like, so I wonder why it is. I genuinely don't know, but I do think that part of it is that,
Or like the orca's like, he sees like a diver and he's like telling his friends like, geez, I saw this creature, it came down, like these arms, these legs, oh my God, it was like, it came from the sky there. Like, I totally think the orcas are like seen as aliens.
That's perfect. Yeah. I mean, they probably have their own UFO stories of like the boats and things like that. There's another one there. And yeah,
there's like a statue that's sunk down there and they're like busy worshipping it there at the bottom. They're like, this is our God. I saw it come down. It was blowing bubbles and it.
Oh, totally. I love that. Yeah. They just haven't gotten to the point where they're looking up and being like, are there other aliens up there? Yeah. No, that's perfect. And but I do think it comes from the fact that humans are able to kind of look at one of our skills as a species is to look at different forms of intelligence on Earth. We've obviously co-opted a lot of other animals to be partners or to be workers for us, and that requires like empathy and ability to be like, well, we can come to an agreement with a dog or a horse or whatever in order to domesticate it. And so I think we understand. We just have this sense that. It's if we're here and all of these other intelligent life forms are here, it's just so vanishingly unlikely. And I don't know where the intuition necessarily comes from, but I do think it comes out first expressed in these myths, and you have, all manner of sky gods that come down, and it's very similar to what you would hear, developing as ufological lore and alien lore in the last 100 years has developed. I think a lot of those, alien lore stories, it's just remarkable how much they fall into the mythological kind of framings of like predecessing divinities and things like that, right? So I just think we can't stop ourselves from imagining some other kind of intelligence out there. And then I think there's just like, if you look at it from a scientific perspective, it would just be so strange, like that trillions and trillions of planets, so giant universe. Like, I don't know that. Like, I'm willing to consider the point that complex life might be very rare. We certainly don't seem to find much complex life in our stellar neighborhood or anything, or any signs of it. But that would be so weird if we're that anomaly. Like, I just think it's. I obviously don't know, but it seems like that would be the stranger circumstance, right? That
if we were alone.
Yeah, I know, it'd be crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, as an odds game, that just seems insane, right? So I think that's what will be interesting to even just, I'm sure you saw last month there was a Perseverance found a compelling possible biosignature. They're not sure if it's actually a created by microbial activity, but if it were, then that would be like, the discovery of the millennia, right? Like, I know the millennia is young, so that doesn't actually sound that impressive, but it would be so amazing, like, to
but that's in our galaxy that they found that, eh? Becky?
Pardon me?
That's in our galaxy that they found that biosignature.
They found on Mars a possible ancient microbial biosignature, but it could be created also by geological things. So this is what I mean when it's going to be very. It's going to be very unsatisfying, like, because there's so much on Earth that even scientists are not sure if it was created by early life forms on Earth or if it was a geological process. It's very difficult with some of these microbial patterns because non-biological things can make quite complex kind of structures as well. But, can you imagine if it were confirmed that there was life on Mars 4 billion years ago? That would mean that there's a really low bar for life to emerge, right? If it can, it will. That would suggest that it does. So anyway, I went on a long time, but I'd be interested in your thoughts on it as well. That's
great. Look, I mean, we come from the side of the fence where in our realm, it's for us, it's a definite. There's not even a case of no, maybe. It's a definite. I mean, we've interviewed so many people. Dr. Avi Loeb, I'm sure you know him. We spoke to him, and we asked him the same question. You said, but how come we haven't found anything tangible? And he said, well, so look through a telescope in your bedroom, okay, and you see that little hole there, and you're looking up into space. I said, yeah. He said, now imagine that amount is what we've actually understood and seen and searched in our own universe, never mind the rest of the galaxies that are still sitting outside of our own galaxies. He said it's like you're looking at, it's like a grain of sand on the seashore. We like one grain. It's not possible.
And we want the alien to fly past right then at that time.
Yeah, it's going to be impossible that the alien's going to fly in that section.
But
totally.
Also, bringing up Avi Loeb, that whole Atlas I3, what is it, 3i Atlas, whatever.
Yeah,
I mean, it's just funny because I was making a UFO documentary, and then when I finished it, like something big would happen, I'd be like, oh my gosh, I wish I put that in the documentary, because things were moving so fast. And then it's like, and then another big thing happens, and I'm like trying to squeeze that in the documentary, and then this documentary is never ending because there's like stuff's always happening. And I'm like, that's it. And then it hasn't come out for 3 years, and so much other stuff's happened, and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm just so outdated now. And like it must be with your book, you've finished publishing it, and then Atlas I3 comes past, and you're like, oh my gosh, can't we, talking to the publisher, can't we just squeeze a few more pages in about that now? So, and then it went past, and then NASA didn't want to release any of the photos for like 8 days after that. I mean, it's like, if you want to hide something, that's like the stupidest way to hide something. Just have some backup, and like, don't wait for 8 days. I mean, it makes it look very, very suspicious.
Yeah, I don't know the backstory on that. But yeah, no, you're totally right. Describing the sense of like, oh, this happened right after I closed the book. But yeah, no, I think one of the things that's so interesting about that is, now we have these 3 candidates of these interstellar, well, they're all confirmed interstellar objects. And only one of them looks super like just a regular comet, like these, Oumuamua is obviously a very weird object. And then this new one is very curious as well. What I think will be interesting is that there's just this new observatory called the Vera Rubin in Chile just started observing, and it's like primed to find these types of things. It can really see these hypervelocity objects coming through the solar system really well. So I think I'm reserving judgment for the moment because I just kind of want to see the census that this new instrument pulls in, where you start to get, maybe dozens of these interstellar objects, and then you can kind of better judge what's weird and what's not, right? It's just kind of, it is funny to me that in the initial sample size, you have Atlas looks like a comet, and Borisov, the second one found, looks like a comet. Oumuamua has all of these interesting explanations for it, but was very weird by all accounts. But, already we're seeing that there's just such a diversity of weird objects coming through the solar system. So the fact that like technology is getting to the point where a lot of these will be able to be found, and we can have like an ability to compare what our expectations were. I think most scientists were thinking we were just going to get regular comets be the interstellar objects coming through, but clearly there's a lot of weird material floating through space. And so I hope that we're able to not only spot them, but have some like rendezvous missions. Can you imagine if we had a rendezvous mission like ready for Oumuamua, and that it's like, we'll never know what that was. Like, it's so excruciating.
Yeah, I know. But do you think that we see more of these things because they've got some new machine or technology to see them? Or is it like now we're like, oh my gosh, like...
the technology.
There's 2 of them that have come past in the last few years.
Oh, yeah. I think that for a long time, scientists have estimated there's dozens and dozens always passing through the solar system. The interstellar space is big, but lots of, star systems chuck out all kinds of things. They chuck out planets. Lots of planets are just in the middle of interstellar space, having been gravitationally ejected. So that could be the fate of some aliens that, they kicked out of their solar system and just have to die in the dark or whatever.
What is it? What's the Anunnaki's planet?
Nibiru.
Oh, what is
Come on,
it?
Lee.
Nibiru.
Lee, what is it? Nibiru.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, exactly.
Nibiru.
Exactly, so, right? And then the whole Planet 9 thing kind of links into the Nibiru stuff too. There's, the search for the 9th planet kind of in the depths of the solar system, that there's some evidence that there might be a hidden planet out there. So yeah, I mean, the fact that we just, it is definitely that we're getting better at seeing them, and now that we have this new Rubin observatory, we'll see a lot of them. So hopefully we can like actually rendezvous with one. It's just hard because they move so fast. By definition, they're not tethered to the solar system, so they just go. Whoosh, and so you really have to be ready with like a mission already. Like there's lots of concepts for putting a spacecraft into orbit, So as soon as one is detected, it could actually just go right
Catch it
away.
with a net.
Pardon me?
To catch it with a big net.
Yeah. Harpoon it. Yeah, exactly. But I live in mystery all the time, just thinking, if only we could have had that for Oumuamua, because whoa, what was that?
Cool. Yeah, exactly.
We'd have to have space stations that can launch from their station.
Mm-hmm.
We'd have to have space stations that can launch those type of things from space. I think to launch it from Earth,
ready to go.
Go through a certain degree, and by the time it gets up there, it stays.
Yeah. You need to like just have it be. It's such a time sensitive thing. They're only in the solar system for a month or two, like or like within range, right? Yeah. So it is like I just hope there's more investment in space science for that kind of thing, because it's an expensive thing to do, and it's like you're kind of waiting for something you don't know if it's going to actually materialize. But imagine the science of even if it's not something that's indicative of like an alien life or doesn't have any, it's just a regular comet from another star system. I mean, this is the first interstellar thing that we would ever touch, right? So I think
it's scary, because I mean that went between Mars and Earth, and people go like, "Yo, but that's like 20,000 kilometers away," and it's like, dude,
it's so close.
Past us, like it's really close. Like
it is. It's really close. Yeah, exactly.
Terrifying, actually.
Yeah, it is. It's it would be so exciting. Obviously, like in the terms of, pop cultural tropes, alien artifacts in our solar system is like just one of my favorites in fiction, right? The capsule on the moon and Space Odyssey, like this idea that aliens might have left behind all this kind of stuff inside of our solar system is a really compelling one to me. So that would be interesting to investigate for sure.
So the Oumuamua, because Avi Loeb, I mean, he's like, Harvard or Stanford, whatever. He's like
Harvard, yeah.
Harvard, and he's pretty convinced, or not convinced. I mean, he's openly saying that like Oumuamua was like an alien craft, and then he kind of said that, right?
Oh,
and then
yeah. His I've interviewed him a few times, and I think he thinks that that's just as the alien technology kind of theory is as likely as any of the other natural explanations. There is like huge scientific pushback on him for that, like, but it's like a thought experiment, for him to be like, why not consider this explanation?
Because like, so he's from Harvard, and I remember when what was the guy that did all of the Mack, the guy that did all the abduction stuff. He was also Harvard. He was a psychiatrist. He was
I know you.
His name Mack. He got killed. He got ran over by the car eventually. But I mean, they wanted to throw him out of Harvard because he was like, "No, I'm writing this book on people that having alien abductions," and he was, counseling them as a psychologist, and then they wanted to take his tenure away. But then Avi Loeb, he's just like going, "No, that's alien spaceship," and he's going on every single like News Nation and everything, even with Atlas 3i. He's on News Nation saying like, "Yeah, this is it's showing like things like it's flashing." Not like a natural thing. It's like an alien thing, and Harvard's just letting him say. I mean, I was thinking that you would be thrown out like a long time ago.
Well, I think it speaks to the fact that there is more open-mindedness towards the entire ufological community. Like even NASA has done a bunch of studies recently investigating UAP and kind of really hammering home that they would like for people who were reporting these things to not feel stigmatized. That was obviously a huge problem for decades, that if you were like a Navy pilot or whatever, you didn't want to report because you didn't want to have career consequences and you didn't want to be called like crazy or something like that. So I think there's an attempt and a posture to really like acknowledge the reality that lots of people have these experiences, and that there needs to be like, it's better for everybody if they have channels to communicate, and there's like cross science and cross public communication with Avi's theories. It's not like anyone's trying to shut him down or anything like that. It's more like when I talk to scientists, they don't feel like the natural explanations that have been proposed for Oumuamua are sensational. Like, they don't see why alien origin is any more likely than the number of natural explanations, right? So in order to have an alien explanation, the bar would have to be pretty high because we've never seen something like that before. And they're just saying, sure, it may have been, but look at all these other things it could have been as well, and so I think they don't like the certainty that with which he's kind of saying, oh, it's like this is the most likely origin. But like I said, we will see a lot more of these objects in the coming years, and so yeah, it'll be interesting to see how many are weird and how many just look like regular comets that just happen to come from another star system.
Isn't there supposed to be one that's supposed to hit Earth in 2029?
Oh, like an interstellar object?
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if they could project I think they kind of get discovered whenever they happen to come through the surveys. Yeah.
BS,
I don't know that you can really project them, but it might be that there's just a asteroid that's projected to come close to Earth but that it might be just within the solar system, because there's lots of projections that NASA's gotten very good, and other asteroid hunting kind of agencies at spotting like the littlest, tiniest rocks that might pass close to Earth. So I'll have to look that up though. But I'd be surprised if it was an interstellar object, because those are really serendipitously found usually.
No, it's probably just some conspiracy theorists like me and Lee. Crazy, a racket out there talking some BS.
Well, that's like part of the color of this topic. I have to say, it's really, like I say, it's like I've never experienced it myself, but it is like, reading these accounts, I believe people have had something happen to them. I just can't attribute it to an alien cause. I know that's very,
well, look,
that's push back as much as you want, but yeah.
I was, some years back, I was the MUFON, which is in America, the headquarters. I was a director for South Africa of MUFON.
Oh, cool.
And, it wasn't really, but,
it was cool before but then when you got there, you realized how boring it was. You're like, oh.
Well, the problem is the people would send you sightings, which you have to investigate. And I would say out of the 700 sightings that I received over the period that I was there, maybe 20.
Oh, that's all right. I thought you were going to say 3.
No, maybe about 20 were worthwhile. That's going over about 8 years.
Oh, interesting.
So
what were most of them? Like just something?
Like one of the guys were like, oh, wow. And they take a photo. And I saw all these, it looked like UFOs. There were like 11 of them in a row. So the guy's Starlink. It's like, it's just, maybe just go and look up a little bit, read a bit before you start posting these things. Or it's a comet.
Oh, yeah.
Or it's, you know what I mean? It's a satellite. Hey, I saw there were 4 of them moving in different directions. I said, yeah, well, they're going in a straight line. Yes, okay, that's satellites.
That's really fascinating context, Lee, for being able to, to be out talking to, this is exactly what I was talking about, the kind of expertise that I lack of going out and actually talking to people. And with the Starlink ones, I get that all the time. And it's like, they're so everywhere now, but they look so distinctive, right? That people mistake them for UFOs because they just are such a strange sight in the sky, and they're there at dusk and dawn when people tend to be looking. But and the Iridium satellites, they have that tractor beam look. If you're like right below an Iridium satellite, it can look really alien. It can look like a tractor beam, as you well know. So I'm interested, Lee, like what were the ones that were compelling to you?
There were a few. So this one guy said he had been walking his dog, was early in the morning, and he noticed this light. It was a red light. It came across the sky, but it stopped. And then it moved, it went 90 degrees, but it shot off. It was like something. And I said, okay, that's different now, because now your trajectory has absolutely changed. I mean, if it was something that we put into the sky, the trajectory doesn't change like that. It's just the standard one direction, kind of flashing every now and then, whatever, because the sun rays are shining off of it. But so things like that I would say, okay, the likeliness that he saw something is great. The problem is most of them, I think one guy had photos that he took in East London, which is here in the South Africa city, where there was this like ball. It was an orb in the sky, but you could see it. It was like a gray orb, and it just sat there. It sat there for hours. And that was the only photo, but the rest of them were just guys writing and said, this is what they saw. It was this date, this time. So whether or not he was talking bullshit, I don't know. But from what he was telling me, it didn't sound natural.
Yeah.
No, I mean, look, yeah.
Tell Becky about the one where there was the thing opened and the crafts were going in and out.
Oh shit! Yeah, that was in Cape Town. So there was a guy that he actually got a hold of me a few times, and he mentioned that he's in Cape. I don't know if have you been to South Africa before?
I haven't, but it's on my list. Cape Town looks amazing. Yeah.
So go to Cape Town. So Table Mountain is quite a prominent mountain in Cape Town, and he could see Table Mountain from where he was, but he always sits on his porch at night, and he looks over the skies and that. And he said that the one time he saw over the sea a mist, like a green mist, appeared, but it formed a shape of a portal, and it opened. He said this portal opened. He was like watching this thing, and he said this craft came through the portal.
That's
and
wow.
Then they closed, and then they went straight into the sea. So, but again, no photos. It was just this guy said, "Geez, I can't actually believe what I saw," but he was like so scared to tell me. I was like, but it's
so interesting. You must, as when you're doing the MUFON stuff, you must like also the sort of demeanor of the person might help too. If they're like scared of it, that kind of, it seems like you wouldn't be lying about it, right? You wouldn't be trying to do hoax if you're reluctant to even report it. That's what makes the one I think about is the Barney and Betty Hill abduction is one it's a classic and really the Adam and Eve of the alien abduction stories. But that one makes me wonder a lot too, because that was just, there are these hoaxsters that will do things for publicity, and there's so many interesting, fun examples of that history. But these were just like such a regular couple, and they were kind of reluctant, and but there was so much documentation of something strange happening to them. And, I always really wonder about that one, and just wish that I could, know what was happening on that New Hampshire road. Right. I always think too, it's funny that they had a little dash hunt, and we, a little doggy, like we should really have psychoanalyzed that dog.
Yeah.
Exactly. The dog could have given a clear answer.
Yeah. Because we just interviewed an animal communicator on the last show.
I saw that.
And if we could get an animal communicator to talk to that bloody dog, I mean, we could have, if she was around, if Kate was around in those days, geez, we could have brought her out and we could have got everything from that dog.
Yeah.
Okay. I feel like
would be the truth, like the total truth.
That's what we need now, is for her to, the next time this happens, she's got to be the interviewer with the dog. And I'm not even like joking. I feel like the dog would be like, yeah, it was aliens. This is what I...
Yeah, of course. You stupid humans.
The thing with Betty and Barney Hill is their life went to shit after that day.
Yeah, exactly.
It was like so bad. And unfortunately, a lot of the people in the 50s, I mean, even Elizabeth Chloride, you remember that story that we did way back, William? It was a South African lady that actually had some incidents with aliens that actually came and visited her. She's got a book out on it.
She even had a
she's
baby. She's
dead now, but it was a whole, how she ended up going to the planet and the things that she showed them, and she had a child from one of them. And it was, look, I don't know, but it's very well known. It's
actually a very good documentary by a colleague, friend of mine that it's called Beyond the Light Barrier. It's on Amazon Prime. You should check it out. It's on that. It's a very cool documentary. You should go have a look at it.
Yeah.
Okay. Beyond the Light Barrier. Okay.
It's funny. I always say to William, a lot of people, we believe in this stuff, but nothing ever happens. Nothing. Maybe
to us.
Light year then, but to us, we're like, fuck, come and abduct me, man. I want to see what's going on. I want to see.
I know, and then someone
it happens to other people that don't believe.
Yeah. Yeah. And it doesn't even change their life. They're just like I keep saying this all the time. But my brother-in-law, he had the most craziest like alien story, where even when he tells it today, he gets goosebumps talking about it now. Like this huge light the size of a house. He says they were sitting on a roof. It came up right in front of them. Like looked at it didn't have a face or anything, but it looked like it was like startled, like it saw them. Size of a house, like maybe 100 meters away, and then it just shot off, like he said, so fast, straight towards Tail Mountain, up Tail Mountain, and over it like that.
It's amazing.
And he's never like researched. I mean, if someone else had an experience like that, you'd think that they would be all over the internet. Look, it would change their life, or like. But he's just like, he saw that, and he gets goosebumps talking about it today. But
Yeah.
Nothing more than that. I mean, Lee, I'm like outside meditating for like 10 nights in a row, trying to call these things C5. Nothing happens.
Yeah, absolutely.
Then I start thinking it's bullshit, but then I hear another story from like someone else that I know well, and it's like, okay, they're real again.
Yeah. Yeah. No, as you guys well know, well, way more than me. I mean, it's just, there's millions of people who have these weird experiences, right? So but the fact that it can't, it's just a really difficult thing to put under any kind of like empirical scrutiny because it's eyewitness. And as you say, a lot of the time with even this really compelling one you described from your brother or from the Table Mountain, craft that goes into the water, right? Like if it's a story and it's just really hard to adjudicate. I'm very lucky because all of my, as a science reporter, like the information I report on is vetted before I have to even like I vet it with other scientists, of course, but you know what I mean? Like it has to go through this rigorous process first. And I think it's tricky when you're doing the MUFON stuff and the stuff that you guys do, because there's just so many ways that events can be interpreted. And there's so many different theories for if it were an extraterrestrial kind of presence, like what's the common through line, right? Everybody kind of has a different. You were talking about the interdimensional one, Lee, and there's people that feel like they can telepathically be linked into them. You hear the whole gamut, so it's really hard to condense it down into a theory, right?
And it can't be repeatable, even with C5.
Yeah, it's not reproducible. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, That's why I rely so heavily. The ones that I really do find strange are the ones that are like on these military cameras, the stuff that's you just can't really, that is like professionals filming something that is not explainable. And it's not because I discount anyone's personal experience. It's just that comes pre-vetted. And that's just like the way that I'm best interpreting like that information. I think it's just, I would just really love to know, obviously, like you guys, like, what is that stuff? Yeah.
So, Becky, you have to go now because it's 7.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to hop off in a minute
so before you head off, just where can people find your books? So if they want to go and download a copy or like an ebook or something, where can they go?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's any bookstore, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Powell's. I'm not sure the big chains are in South Africa, but it should be there. And you can get it as an audiobook, ebook. It's in hardcover right now. And you can also check out my website, beckyferreira.com.
Okay, awesome, Becky.
Great.
Yeah, good luck in your book, man, and fantastic. Thank you for coming on.
Yeah, it was a pleasure. Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, it was really fun chatting. Thank you, Becky.
Absolutely.
Thanks,
Have a
Becky.
good one.
You
Keep it real.
Cheers.
Cheers. Yeah, we'll try.
Cool, man. Okay,
awesome, man.
So yeah, right. That was cool as per usual. Grateful for Becky taking her time out to come in for the interview. Yeah, well, but yeah, this MUFON thing, I'm so over that thing. That was like,
yeah.
I'm actually getting tired of UFOs. I must be honest.
Yeah, nothing really happens at the end. It's exciting. Like I wish I could go back and start again because it's so exciting when you get into it.
Yeah.
And then you just go for years and just realize, fuck, this thing is just, it's like the same old story. It never goes anywhere. It never gets revealed. It's like that carrot at the end of the string. Stick. It's just like
that stick just gets further.
It's like it's like fucking so bored of looking at that carrot.
Oh, that's awesome.
I just need to get abducted now. Come on, C5 baby tonight, Lee. Let's go.
Yeah, I'll try that. I don't actually know how to do that, man. The CE5. I didn't do the CE5.
There's like so many YouTube videos you can download.
No, but you watch all like everybody's got a different idea. It's like religion. Everybody's got their own idea about religion.
I know, but it's basically the same thing. You just quieten your mind. You open your heart. When they say open your heart, you just think of like loving thoughts and whatever feelings, and then you just project your intention out into the universe, and you just say, "I'm here, please." Okay, well, look at this. I haven't had any success, so maybe I am doing it wrong. But of all the meditations that I've tried, it's basically all the same kind of thing. It all comes down to that. It's just you just project like your thoughts out there to say that you want to. But it's funny because it's also, if you think about occult sciences, it's actually also like how you evoke spirits and entities. It's almost the same kind of thing. So that's kind of weird, isn't it? But Stephen Greer, the most famous one. I mean, he coined the C5 thing. He's got his app, the fucking, I don't know what it's called, something. Anyway, Google, anybody listening to this is interested in it,
app.
Google it. Just Google fucking Stephen Greer C5 app, and on that app, it's got the whole, like, the only problem is an hour long. Like, if you go to, what is that other Australian guy? I can never think of names, man. Like John Mack. I couldn't even think of John Mack's name earlier. And most famous UFO person ever. But he's an Australian guy. He's always on that SETI ranch with that other dude. Man, what's his, anyway, he's got like a good one. It's only 15 minutes. But as I say, maybe maybe you should go with the hour one, because the ones I've been doing haven't worked. So, but it's all out there.
All right. Cool.
Okay. Cheers, guys.
Thanks, everybody. Have a good one. We'll see you
Cheers, Lee.
next week. Thanks, buddy.
Later, bro. Cheers.